Hi everyone. The first kind of earring that we're going to be making is probably the simplest. It involves using a kit, and you can make really cool earrings like this. This is a blinged out skin if you haven't seen my video on how to make blinged out skins, or the video on just how to make acrylic skins if you're not a pour painter, so that you can make jewelry or other craft items. Then check those out. Now for this particular type of earring, you just need a kit. And this is a kit from the internet. You can just search for earring trays or jewelry findings and find things like this. They will come with cabochons, which are the glass pieces that will go over the top. And I'm not going to take these out because I don't want fingerprints on them. And you have the backs for your earrings, or you can buy specialty backs at most hobby stores that are gold or silver. If you need special ones, they do come in 24 karat gold. And so forth. So you can make special earrings that are a little bit more expensive if you would like to, or if you have special earring needs, you can get the backs for those. So if you have a kit like this, you're going to have trays. These are earring trays. I guess they could be used as pendants too, but you'll need 2 matching trays, and this color is going to be silver, and you will need the backs. And these are just the dangly earring backs that you can pick up, but will come with the kit, or you can buy them separate. From all hobby stores that I know of do carry the earring backs. So not just the backs, I shouldn't say the earring backs, but the pieces that fit through the ear. Okay, so to do these, it's relatively simple. You will need a skin. So here is a skin that I have made. This skin came off a pour that I was doing. As you can see here, it is purple and gold, and it's about the size of a sheet of paper. And I show you how to make skins and how to make acrylic skins video. So you just take your cabochons and you decide where you like to place them. In this case, I'm looking to match them. And the good thing about making these and not dipping them, you can dip them, pour paint them, and do a dip process. But if you're using the skins, which you usually already have because you have leftover acrylic paint, this is just acrylic paint, Floetrol, and water to thin it out in different color schemes, and this is what you get. So it's basically a pour painting that's done on a tray. Now you take your cabochons, and you can see I've got kind of matching ones. This looks pretty matchy-matchy right here. Once you have them placed where you want them to go, then you're going to glue them down. And what you'll need for that is something like diamond glaze, water-based dimensional adhesive. If you've seen me use this before, you're just going to glue it down with this. This dries clear, so that's why I'm using the diamond glaze. It's made specifically for jewelry applications. Okay, we're going to take our diamond glaze and we are going to put it underneath the cabochons. Now, I will say diamond glaze is very easy to dry up. Make sure you put your cap back on there. I fight with this to keep this open when I need it for a project. I'm always having to stick a pen down in it. So if you have a tip for me on how to keep my diamond glaze from drying up in the tip of the bottle, I'd love to hear it. Okay, so we're going to take the cabochon, and I'm actually going to put it where I want to place it, just because I don't want to lose it. I'm just going to use the tip to do that. So I can move them around for a little bit. So I want to hurry up and do this. I'll put that on the back of that one. I want to make sure I get them where they look matching. I want matching earrings, so I want them to have about the same amount of gold and purple. Now, I don't have any gold trays right now, or bronze trays. It would probably look better on a gold or a bronze tray. But I am just going to put them here, and I'm a little messy. I used a little too much glue. Since diamond glaze dries clear, I am not very worried about making a mess, but you're going to want to let that dry, or at least harden enough that you're going to be able to cut or use an X-Acto knife around it. We're going to let that take a minute to adhere, and once it's dried, we will cut this out of our skin. Once this is dried, you actually don't have to wait for it to dry completely, and a lot of times I don't, so that I can use my surgical scissors. You can use an X-Acto knife, and you can use a die cut machine or pre-cut these. I actually just glue them on and then I cut around them. So to do that, I'm just going to use my surgical scissors. You don't have to use surgical scissors. I'm going to head and cut around this way so that I can remove it. It'll just make it easier for me to cut. If you've worked with acrylic skins, they tend to stick together. It's just easier if you go ahead and cut a piece out if you're not making a lot of jewelry. So you can set that aside. And now we just have a small piece that we're working with that we can cut around fairly easily. If the glue is not quite dry, it's very easy to cut the skin. So I'm just going to cut around. Okay, once you have your cabochons attached with your glue, then we can move over to using the trays. There are several things that you can use to attach the cabochons to the trays. A lot of people use E6000. It doesn't smell very pleasant, but it does work pretty well. Other glues I've heard from some people, they tend to get brittle, but E6000 seems to be the thing that's preferred, even though you can use other kinds of glues to do this. You definitely want to use something tough that's going to stay. So this is the super glue, Gorilla Glue, cement, epoxy kind of thing you're going to want to use that's really going to keep that into the tray. We're just going to put a little bit of the E6000 into the tray. You don't need a lot. You don't want it squishing over the sides. You can use a popsicle stick and move that around a little bit if you need to. You see I'm wearing gloves. You want to make sure that you're not getting this on your hands. It does not like to come off. So now you just take your cabochon and you just place it into the tray and press. Usually after you've pressed them down, they're ready to go. Just grab the back of the earring or the hook, pull down, and with your hands just open up the hook, or you may have to use a pair of pliers, and just put them right on to the little built-in O-ring on the top of the earring. And then you're just going to take some pliers, and I am going to use my flat-nosed pliers, but you can use needle-nosed pliers as well. I have several kinds of pliers, and I'm just going to bend that in so that you don't lose your earring. No one wants to lose their earring when you're walking down the street. I've done that before. That's not fun. So make sure that they're closed, and once it's closed, the ball can go over the top, and there you have it. You have your earring ready to go. I'm just going to do the other one. And there you are. This is the simplest earring to do. They're great. You can sell these, you can give them for gifts, and very easy. And that's the first way that you make acrylic skin earrings. Now on to the second. For this next type of earring, we are going to be using wooden forms. You may have seen people dip these into pour paint, which you can do, but you never know what you're going to end up with. When you have a skin, then you kind of know what you're going to end up with, and you can match your earrings really well with the skin, and you usually have some of this left over and you want to use it, so this is the way to use it. So you can pick up these forms, and these are from Amazon here. They're just basic forms, and we're going to use these forms. They're wooden, and we're going to apply our skins this way. I like this area right here, so that's where I'm going to make my skin. And what I'm going to do is, I know where my area is, I want it right here, they will match pretty well, but I'm not going to be cutting them out from this side. I'm going to flip my skin over, making sure I remember where my area it is I want to use. Since these are straight up and down, that's pretty simple, and I'm just going to lay these down. Now you can pre-paint the backs of these, or you can paint them after the fact, or you can just leave them wooden. whatever you want to do as far as the sides and the back are concerned. But I'm just going to show you how to apply. You're going to take your diamond glaze. I'm just going to apply some of the glue onto my form. I want to make sure that it's on the edges. You can use a popsicle stick to do that if you'd like, or you can just kind of be really careful and try to get your glue on there. You do want this to be spread evenly if you do it this direction. You can cut them out and then paste them, but I don't do very well that direction. I'm just going to put mine on this side and cut it out with an X-Acto knife. So I'm going to put that down. I'm going to take the other one and do exactly the same thing. Very easy to do. And put it right beside it. Press it down, and I'm just going to wait a few minutes for that to get tacky where it won't move. You actually don't have to wait for it to dry completely. You can, but if you like to run through things and do things really quickly and have no patience like I do, then you can just wait until you feel like it's dry enough and it's not moving around. You see how it's still moving? You don't want to do that. You just wait till it won't move around anymore, and then you can cut around. Just press this in really good, wait for a few minutes, and you should be good to go. Okay, once they're not moving around, which doesn't take long at all, diamond glaze does dry fairly quickly, you can just take your X-Acto knife and you can go around these. Once they've been cut out, just gently remove them from the skin. And there it is. It's that simple. Doing the other one next. And there they are. Now that you have these two, you have to take a needle or something sharp and poke through the hole just to make sure that hole is clear. It's a good time to do this. Do both of them. And there they are. Put this one aside and show you. Now you have some choices. Like I said, you can paint the sides, you can leave them plain. It's whatever you want to do. I like the wood look in this particular one, but you can do what you want. You can epoxy these. That's going to give a very high gloss shine. You can put varnish over them. There's several ways to protect them, but they do need some protection. Now, if you don't put a skin on the back, and you can put a skin on the back, then that's really where it's going to wear. So if the skin is on the front, it usually doesn't wear very much. What I'm actually going to do is take my diamond glaze because it's fast, it is not toxic, and it's easy for me to just put it on there. So I'm just going to do this, and this is going to give me a finish that is shiny, but not overtly shiny, and it's going to protect it. So I'm just going to put some on. Again, I can grab my handy dandy popsicle stick, and I'm just going to go right over the top. It does a pretty good job of leveling, so I'm just going to go over it. It's actually better if you can keep it down. I need to move my mat. Go over, watch your edges. You can add another coat of this if you want. You can just use the bottle to do it, and sometimes that's a good way to get your edges. Just do a nice thick coat. I'm going to do this one. I'm going to let them dry, which is only going to take a few hours, and then I'm going to quickly put them together for you. Okay, so once your earrings are dried and they're nice and shiny, or matte, depending on what you put on the top of them to protect them, you can take a pin, sometimes a skewer. The holes are kind of small. This is a needle, and I'm just going to send it all the way through to make sure that it is open enough for my O-ring. And I take an O-ring, this is a larger one, and put a smaller one through. That way I can just stick this in, and sometimes you have to open them a little bit. Just open it a little bit more and put your O-ring in. You're going to take your pliers. You can use the flat ones, you can use the needle nose, and you're going to make sure that your O-ring is sealed. You can take this kind of plier. If you've bent it a little bit and it's not so round, this will round it out a little bit. So once you have your O-ring done, you are going to put on your hook. You just need to open that little round piece at the bottom, move up the little ball, slip your O-ring in there, make sure that it's hanging the right direction, and then take your pliers and sometimes that little ball gets in your way. Move it up, hold it upside down so it will go up, and move your ball down, and there is your earring. Just going to do the same thing with this one. I've already put the O-rings in this. Just open the hook a little bit. And put that in. Okay, and there you have it. And there are your earrings. For this next style of acrylic earrings, we're going to be doing it in the style of a leather earring like this. If you've seen these leather earrings, they're very pliable. People make them, you can buy them in stores. Well, you can do the same thing with acrylic skins. I've not seen anyone else do this, but I have done it, and you can do it, but you need a special skin. You need one that is very strong. That means you're probably not going to be able to use a skin made out of Floetrol unless it's super thick. Okay, the thicker the skin, the better for this application because you need some strength. Floetrol tends to make skins that are very thin. A Floetrol skin tends to be very flimsy. Okay, so you're not going to want to use a skin like this that is super flimsy from your pour box, or that you've made if it's super flimsy like this. Floetrol can often also be brittle. Over time it will become brittle. I do not have that problem with these kinds of skins, but these kinds of skins are made with a professional pouring medium like Liquitex acrylic pouring medium. These will make these harder skins. Here's another one. Again, it's much more tough. It does not stick together, and you can use these to make this kind of drop earring. What you'll need to do that is you will need some sort of template. These are leather punches, leather forms. They can go in a machine, or you can actually take a hammer and the little ridge will beat down into your skin, and you can make your earring that way. With a hard skin like this, it will actually cut all the way through. If your skin is newer, which most skins are very sticky when they're new, if it's a newer skin and the stickier it is, the more trouble you're going to have because you're going to be super flexible. Skins do tend to dry out over time, and the drier the skin for this, as long as it's not cracking, if it's a skin made with something other than Floetrol, you should be okay in doing this. You kind of have to experiment. You may not have a skin that works really well, but I end up with skins that are pretty darn tough sometimes. Okay, so the skin I'm going to use is the one I've been working on. This one is not quite, this is a new skin, and it is not quite as stiff as some of the other skins, even though it is made with the Liquitex. It's just a little bit different, but it still can work for this. So you don't have to have a completely stiff skin. The completely stiff ones, here's an example of that. This is one of the green ones, very, very stiff, and it doesn't have too much bend in it, okay? It usually can lie perfectly flat. These you can actually bend, and there's some interest in them. Okay, so you're going to take your skin, and then you're going to take whatever form you want to make. You can buy a bag of these forms. They come in lots of shapes. They're specifically for earrings, but they're great for templates. So what I'm going to do is I want to make an earring that is going to look something like this. I need another earring. I need a pair. So to make this particular earring, I am going to use my form. Choose where you want it, and it could be front or back. And then I'm just going to take my hammer as you can see where it has, where the form was made, and it even has the hole at the top, which you can take a skewer and punch through. Now, because this is a fairly thick skin, it did not go all the way through, and I am not on a super hard surface because you really need to be on a hard surface, not a table. This table has some movement to it and it's flimsy, so you definitely want to have this on a hard surface if you're going to do that. So here it is. I can also just go around the outside, but I like the shape. The shape is pretty perfect if you use the ridge. It's not always as perfect if you go around the outside. So I'm just going to take my X-Acto knife and follow that line to make sure that it's cut through. Okay, so you will have your piece of skin. You can now take a skewer or a large needle and poke through the hole. This particular skin is still a little sticky, being a new skin, but we'll just poke the hole through. Once you do that, you do need to protect it. There are a couple of ways to protect this. You can use you can use varnish, you can use what I've used on these. This is actually epoxy resin. You can use epoxy resin, or you can use good old Diamond Glaze water-based dimensional adhesive that I use for everything. This is actually what is on this particular one. You can see on the back we don't have any, and on the front we have the Diamond Glaze, which really brings out the colors for the earrings. So to do that, I'm going to move this out of the way. You're just going to take your earring and apply your Diamond Glaze. I just use the tip to do it. Watch getting it over the hole. I a lot of times will put the ring in the hole first, and that way you don't have any problems with the cracking. You don't have any problems with it if you go ahead and put the ring in first. I put these little tiny O-rings in there. They can be bigger than this, but you can put your O-ring in there and you can go ahead and glue it from there. That way it's a little easier to pick up. But just to show you how to do this, I'm going to go ahead and put this, and you can put more than one coat if you want. Try to make sure you get the bubbles out of it, and you're just going to let that dry, and it does a really great job. I'm going to move this out of the way, and I already have one that is dry. We put the lid on that Diamond Glaze, and you'll have one that's dry. Now I have turned up the corners. I actually did this on purpose so that it has some shape. Now you have your earring. This one already has the little O-ring in it. You take your pliers. It needs to be put together a little better than that. And once you have your O-ring, you can use another O-ring, which is hard to do with gloves. But 2 O-rings will keep them turned the right direction. And you can put it through the first one, and you need your hook to go through the ear. You can clamp that right together with your pliers. These are the flat nose pliers. As you can see, I have a collection if you see me switch in and out of them. And there you are. There's your earring, and now you have a full set of earrings.